Hello guys and girls, this is Kentucky and we arrived to the last monk, which is the DPS Windwalker monk. The playstyle of the Windwalker didn't really change anything at all, but several spells have been changed, and these changes are a little bit of impactful of how you play Windwalker. Of course we lost our artifact ability, but we received some talent options which are, let's say, better than the artifact. So if you liked playing a Windwalker in Legion, you will also like it playing in Battle for Azeroth. And of course, the encounters that were good for Windwalkers, that they are performed well, will also be the same in Battle for Azeroth. Sorry. So let's take a look on the spellbook. First and most important change is that the Blackout Kick reduces the cooldown on Rising Sun King and Fist of Fury by 1 second when used. It is a great thing because we have much more frequent access to our main DPS spells. Moving on, we've lost Fuse, which is a shame, but we received Vivify instead, so that's just great. So it's just they taken something and they gave something, so it's just basically nothing changed. Fist of Fury has been changed slightly. The primary target will take increased damage, which is great. So it has a better single target and the same AoE capabilities than it was before. Flying Serpent Kick have been nerfed by 0.5 second, so you won't cover that much of a distance with it. I don't think it will be an issue. We received Leg Sweep as a baseline ability. Paralysis cooldown have been increased to 45 seconds, just as the other monks. Moving on, Spinning Rain Kick now costs only 2 chi, so it's -1 from the previous incarnation of the spell. It is a great change because it increases heavily your AoE damage, and of course the stacking damage increase with the Tiger Palm, Blackout Kick and the Rising Sun Kick is also there, so you will have to just stack up on single target and then just deal heavy damage with an AoE Spinning Crane Kick. Of course, Touch of Death has been heavily changed. It is now it is the same damage as it was, but you have to work for it, because it will count all the damage you deal during 8 seconds, and after this 8 seconds it will deal 10% of all damage you deal to the target during this 8 seconds into the target, and it cannot exceed 50% of your maximum health. So basically it is just a harder to play version of Touch of Death. Moving on, the last change is that we received Mystic Touch, just as other monks, so we can just apply this physical damage taken debuff to the targets, and we will be a useful part of a raid, so it is almost sure that every raid will need a monk. So let's see the talents, because there are some changes, but I don't think that you will choose the changed talents. So the first row is Eye of the Tiger, Chi Wave and Chi Burst. This is exactly the same as in Legion, as I remember. Eye of the Tiger should be used in single target situations because of its damage. Of course, it is really good in single target situations, but it is almost useless in AoE situations. For AoE, if the priority is the damage and the targets are stacked, you should use Chi Burst, because you can just in front of you use your spell. It is +1 button to your combo strikes, and it heals and deals damage in a straight line. It is a rather huge damage, and of course you could choose Chi Wave, which is much weaker damage and healing wise than Chi Burst, but you can cover bigger area with Chi Wave. Of course you can apply more Mystic Touch debuffs to more targets with Chi Wave, so you can just cast Chi Wave here, it will bounce in this trash pack, and you can after 15 seconds cast Chi Wave on this trash pack, and this trash pack will also have the debuff, So basically that's the use of Chi Wave. Currently it is also +1 button, and that's why I do not recommend using Eye of the Tiger, because it is entirely passive and do not add to your hit combo and even your combo strikes mastery. Moving on, level 30 is Celerity, Chi Torpedo and Tiger's Last. Of course this is the same as the other monks and the Legion version. Celerity reduces the cooldown on the roll by 5 seconds and increases its charges by 1, so it's just a average spell. I don't think it's really helpful. Chi Torpedo covers much more longer distance than roll, then it also replaces roll and also slows the targets that you roll through. This is great if you need this movement slow, but if you don't need that movement slow, then you will almost all times choose Tiger's Lust, because you can cast it on yourself or a friendly target, and it increases the movement speed by 70% for 6 seconds, which is great, and it also removes all roots and snares, which is also a great utility for the Windwalker as well. For level 45 tier is Ascension, Fist of the White Tiger and Energizing Elixir. Energizing Elixir refills your energy and generates 2 chi for you every 1 minute, which is a shame, because if you could do it in 20 seconds or 15 seconds, it would be an awesome good spell. But currently Energizing Elixir in this 1 minute cooldown is just okay, I can do this once a minute, but after 10 seconds after 20 seconds I would need it again, but it's not available, so I don't think it's really useful in its current state. The cooldown is just simply too long to be useful, and it also takes up a global cooldown, which is not so good. Of course, Fist of the White Tiger should be the best option in this tier. However, currently in the beta it doesn't generate 3 chi, it only generates 1, so that's why I do not choose it. But it is, on the long terms, it is competitive with Ascension. Of course, it is an additional button to your combo, so it is a great tool. However, it deals only a low amount of damage. Ascension is a great passive. Basically generates you chi, increases your maximum chi, generates you energy, and increases your maximum energy. So of course you should choose it if you need a passive option. And when Fist of the White Tiger will be fixed, you should also choose Fist of the White Tiger almost in all situations, maybe except AoE, when you will basically won't use Fist of the White Tiger that much. Moving on, level 60 Tiger Tail Sweep, Good Karma and Ring of Peace. Tiger Tail Sweep just increases the range of Leg Sweep, your stun, and reduces its cooldown. Choose if needed, but I don't think it will be useful because of Ring of Peace, which will place a ring and eject all enemies entering it. So if they try to enter, they will be thrown out. It's just simple as that. It is very useful in certain situations. And Good Karma is a talent option that might increase your damage output, which is a great option because you can choose between utility and damage increase. So Good Karma buffs your Touch of Karma, which can now redirect 100% of your maximum health, so 50 plus 50%. So that's great. That's just a great damage increase in situations when you use Touch of Karma extensively. Level 75 Raw is Inner Strength, Diffuse Magic and Dampen Harm. Because of how Inner Strength works, it is basically a built-up constant 10% damage taken decrease. So it's just really only useful against low or average sustained incoming damage. Diffuse Magic should be used against magical damage, and Dampened Magic should be used in realistically almost all situations, because against low or average incoming damage. Of course, Inner Strength is good, but your healers can handle it, and the Dampen Harm should be useful against any spike incoming damage, so basically that's just flat out better than the other two options in most situations. Level 90 Rose hit combo, Rushing Jadewind and Invoke Zhu and White Tiger. The summon this White Tiger works really the same as the Brewmaster um, and the Mistweaver one, and it suffers of the same problems that this is really undertuned. It doesn't do enough damage to be competitive. Of course you can summon it every 2 minutes, but basically that's just not enough. It doesn't really a good DPS cooldown because its DPS is too low, you barely notice that you push the cooldown, so I do not suggest using Evoke Juan, the White Tiger. Rushing Jadewind is also really undertuned, so it takes up a lot of energy, 4 energy plus 4 every second, and it deals a low amount of damage. And it is only up for 5 seconds, so basically doesn't really worth. I mean, it is up all the time, but basically, since your energy is consumed very fast, even pushing with your skills, then it will be barely up some seconds. So I do not recommend taking Rushing Jadewind in any scenario. Maybe for really large, short-living AoE mobs, it could be good, but I don't think that this is particularly useful. However, hit combo always increases your damage done by 6% as long as you do your regular rotation. So it just changes nothing. It's a totally passive damage increase, basically. Moving on to the last tier, we have Spiritual Focus, Whirling Dragon Punch, and Serenity. Serenity replaces Storm, Earth, and Fire. It is a better DPS cooldown than Storm, Earth, and Fire. But, however, Whirling Dragon Punch, because of the 2 clones, does a shit ton more damage than Serenity. So it's just you can't really compare these two, because with the Storm, Earth, and Fire clones, the Whirling Dragon Punch does way more damage than the Serenity cooldown. Serenity in this scenario would be only good if it would be on a separate roll than Whirling Dragon Punch. For example, they can switch Serenity up with hit combo. So you can choose Serenity and Whirling Dragon Punch at the same time, then it would be pretty good. Or I don't know how would it work. If it would just do not replace Storm, Earth, and Fire, it would be an additional cooldown. It would be an awesome spell, and you should choose it in most situations. But with how Whirling Dragon Punch interacts with Storm, Earth, and Fire, basically it's just not a question that Serenity is not competitive currently. Of course, Spiritual Focus, if we view it this way, Spiritual Focus is also not really competitive, but with the Fist of the White Tiger and Chi Wave options, where you regularly spend Chi, you can regularly reduce the cooldown on Storm, Earth, and Fire, and you can have more regular access to your main DPS cooldowns, both the charges, because it reduces its cooldown by 1 second, but it is for each charge, so 1 second reduction for each charge for every 2 Chi you spend. And with Fist of the White Tiger you regularly generate more Chi, and Chi Wave you just AoE damage. Sorry, I didn't notice that the Chi generation have been removed from Chi Wave. Sorry, so with Chi Burst and Fist of the White Tiger you can generate more Chi, and of course use more Chi, and with this you can have a really good AoE build with this Spiritual Focus and the regular access to your Storm, Earth, and Fire. So it is competitive with Whirling Dragon Punch, of course, with Rushing Jadewind, because in this scenario Rushing Jadewind is also not that bad because of the clone synergy. But realistically, I think that this is the talent setup that will be the best option, because you can also do AoE, single target sustain, and also you can do burst damage with this talent setup. So let's see how does it works in reality. So you can just choose your target. Let's choose this right now. Just use your clones, activate your Touch of Death, do as many DPS as you can as possible during the window of the Touch of Death, and if the clones are come off of cooldown, then you should just use the clones again. Basically that's it. Not really hard. Of course, use Rolling Dragon Punch on cooldown, and do not ever use the two spells on the same time after. So you can just wait for a cooldown to finish to use your other spell, and do not double click on any of your spells because of how the monk hit combo works. And of course, your abilities deal more damage when you do not repeat the previous ability, so of course your mastery also requires you to do not push a button again and again and again after the same button. So basically that's the Windwalker monk. It's the same as in Legion with small tweaks. I hope you will like it in Battle for Azeroth, and since we have only 3 classes left, which is Druids, Demon Hunters and the DKs, the D classes, basically we are closing to the end, so we will also choose our main, or the 4 mains, a melee, ranged, a healer and a tank for the next expansion. I hope you liked the video and bear with me in the next videos. So let's see you in the next videos. Bye bye.